I would love for you to explain like how you break down the planning on Fridays, because obviously you can do it a lot better than I would do.
Yeah, well, if your listeners are wondering, like, well, what is this magical planning on Fridays? I mean, first, to answer the question, why on earth Fridays? Because a lot of people are like, well, I plan on Monday mornings, or I plan on Sunday nights. And if you have a great weekly planning time, I don't mean to tell anyone that they're wrong. I mean, you should stick with what's working for you. But I do think that everyone needs a designated weekly planning time. And that is because we live our lives in weeks. Like, that is the cycle of life. Like, you sort of think about what unit of time keeps repeating and looks like the whole picture of your life. It's going to be a week. And so we want a time where we look at the whole week at once so we can plan holistically. So if we do have that big deadline on Thursday, we're not only focused on that. We can look at the whole of the week instead of just that. But then, and Friday is just a good time because most people aren't doing anything on Friday. Like, you know, Friday night, Friday afternoon, you're like, yeah, you know, it's almost the weekend. I can't start anything. But you might be willing to think about what future you should do and turn what could be wasted time into some very productive minutes. But anyway, you sit down, you look at your calendar. If you have a work calendar and a personal calendar, get them both. Or if you just have one calendar, look at that. Look at what is, look at the next week. And say, you know, given everything that is going on, and also given my long-term goals, what is most important for me to do next week? And then, you know, make that list in the 3 categories or whatever. If you have more categories, that's great. But for many people, career, relationships, and self tend to be a pretty comprehensive set of categories. Looking at your calendar, looking at your goals, choose a couple things. And ideally, you don't want to choose things that you're not going to do.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
A little,
and that's really hard to do in the beginning too.
It's hard to do in the beginning because you need to have a good sense of what can actually fit in a week, which is why it is a good idea to start with tracking your time, because you start to see what can fit in a week and what can't. So you're not going to be like, I'm going to write a book next week. Like, no, you are not. But, you know, could you... like go back, if somebody has been keeping a blog, go back through, your old blog posts and see which ones got the most traffic so you can look at those ideas for things you might want to develop more. Okay, that is something you could do in the course of a week. But yeah, you know, just a couple items in each. Figure out where those priorities can go. And then, you know, look at what else is on your plate for the next week. Like, what other obligations have you signed on for? Again, looking at your calendar. What I also need to do professionally? You know, do I have all the logistics worked out for that? Do I need any help? Do I need to make anything happen to do that? Is there anything not on my calendar that I'd like to see there? And then repeat that process for relationships, for self. You end with your marching orders for the upcoming week. And then, but the key thing is you have to keep doing this. Yeah. Yeah. Because, I mean, you do it one Friday, your life is not going to magically change. Yeah. But if you keep doing it every Friday, like, first it'll start taking a lot less time because you already have stuff on your calendar that is sort of steps toward your goals. So you don't have to keep putting it on there. And then you also can check back in and refine your process. Yeah. So you can see it on Friday when you're looking back, like, well, did I do this stuff that I set out to do? And if you did, awesome. If you did not, then it's time to refine the model and say, well, why did I not? Was it because I took on too much? That's pretty close to always the case at the beginning.
Especially
right? Like,
in the beginning,
I overestimated what I could do in a week. Okay. Need to pare it back. Yeah. Or I thought the week would be perfect and I didn't realize that life would happen as life always happens. And you know, I needed to plan for that. So yeah, that's what we do. We do it week after week and life gets a lot more orderly.